Hello, my name is Salima Ismail, and I'm back here to talk to the members of the Manotick United Church again. Lisa has so kindly asked me just to come and share some of my thoughts and feelings that I've been feeling within civil society during the pandemic. So I thought I'd just make it informal and I would just speak from my heart. I don't have anything prepared, but just talk to you as a person of color through everything that's happened in the pandemic, and just put a pulse to what's going on. So through the pandemic, we had so many different minority groups come up that we've never seen this kind of value added, and it started with Black Lives Matter. And the important thing is when somebody puts up a video, somebody white puts up a video saying, well, white lives matter too, don't we matter? Oh no, it's just the blacks again. What are they doing? Like, why are they going against their lives? Like, what makes their lives better? Like, we went to school and we had nothing. Well, that's a absolute wrong connotation for a white person to be talking about. The premise of White Lives Matter is that their lives weren't being valued. They weren't being equal to a white person's life, especially when it came to policing. White lives were up here. People who were just white, merely by having white skin, you were given that privilege. It didn't talk about, we're not even talking socioeconomic. We're not talking about money. You know, some people, well, why don't they just go get a job? Or why are they all on welfare? Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about humanity. We're talking about the person's color of their skin. How could they help what color their skin is? You're born in your skin. You're born in your family. You can't choose that. You can't help that. Merely being born black and merely being born white are two different entities. We're not even talking socioeconomics here. So to them, they were saying to us all these years, you know, our lives matter too, and we weren't listening. And then this fast forward, George Floyd, right? When have we ever seen a white person being treated like that? Never. And that was just one videotape, right? How many more incidences have we heard about all that? If you have a chance, look up the Brianna story. You know, like, I just can't imagine being that family. So when Black Lives Matter came up, I'm like, oh, you know, it's an American thing. And I had a black patient of mine come. I don't have a lot of colored people in my practice. And I had a black person come in who, you know, has a fantastic job. Like, he's higher up echelon in his profession. And he told me, I said, oh, Black Lives Matter. And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, thank God we don't have any of that in Canada. It's an American thing. He's like, no, Dr. Ismail, I live in Manotick. I'm a black man living in Manotick. And in my car, I have a video camera installed. And I'm like, what? And he's like, every time I'm driving and there's a police officer, that video goes on. And if I ever get stopped, I know exactly, there's 6 rules I follow. My hands are up. When have we ever been scared to be stopped by police officers? We're not scared. Forget about me, because I'm colored, so it kind of makes, I'm kind of putting myself in with the white people. But, when's the last time you were scared of the police? When's the last time somebody you knew, or your family member, or your son, when they left to say, hey mom, we're going out with our friends, were you worried about them being arrested and being shot by the police, or being racially discriminated against, or something awful happening to them? No. That's what we're talking about. White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and white privilege. The other thing that happened was that Muslim family that got run over from wearing the hijab and their family's garbs. And that just, I'm Muslim, and that just tore me to pieces for that. And that occurred because of what society's doing, right? Like the bill that's being passed on in Quebec, where Muslims can't wear their hijabs, Jewish people can't wear their religious garbs on their heads or anything to identify themselves. Sikhs can't wear their turbans, which is the basic fundamental belief of their religion. Like, there's an actual case at the Supreme Court to not let the government do this. The government. Have you heard about something else where the government's taking away the dignity to practice who you are? Fast forward to Every Child Matters. What happened back then? We're not learning from history. This is why we have to bring it to the forefront. So people in power, everybody can come together and say, this is not right. The reason I felt compelled to come and talk is because it's not just good enough for Black people and Aboriginals and Muslims to keep fighting for their rights and fighting for their dignity, and Jewish people and Sikhs about their turbans. It's not enough for all of us to keep fighting for our rights, right? We shouldn't have to fight for our rights just to be human and to practice what we want. It's up to those people who hold white privilege to say, you know what? It's about time. We've had enough. I'll give you a quick example, and this example speaks so true. When I found out about the residential schools, I talked to Lisa right away. I was, on that Monday, I couldn't function. I couldn't breathe. And you know what most people were worried about when I asked them to bring a stuffy and shoes because I wanted to build a memorial? Oh, well, what are you going to do with the stuffies after? I don't know. I want to move a memorial. It's one stuffy. If you don't want to bring it, I had to say to people, if you don't want to bring it, don't bring it. I'm just trying to set up a memorial. But most of the people gave and gave. And if you walk past my clinic or drove past my clinic, you can see the love that people have. And it was the love, it wasn't all just, there wasn't, I don't even know if there was one Aboriginal who brought something. It was all the people with white privilege. There's a lady, Grace, who built up a whole wall full of little hearts. Your church put up ribbons. You know what really makes me amazed is Black Lives Matter. You guys rung the bell, had a, silence for 8 seconds. When the Every Child Matters, it says that in your church, right? On your billboard. This is a white, predominantly white attended church who's making these statements. That makes me feel great to be a part of Manotick, to be a part in this community with you. Because, you're not just brushing it all under the rug, you're actually coming, and those orange ribbons that are sitting outside of your church, that makes anybody of color feel that they're welcomed here. And this is the kind of stuff we need more of. Can you imagine if we can, every single church that has predominantly white people, stand for something? We need to stop this. We need to write letters. We need to put people in institutions. We need to vote for people who are going to make change, and not just lip service, but actually make the change. We got to write some letters. We got to know that, hey, it's not just the colored people that are mad. White people are mad too. This is not their Canada. This is not what they want their children to be brought up with. A couple of years ago, my son was hurled a racial slur. He was called the N-word by one of the opposing teams from Metcalfe. And, I'm telling you, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't take it. One little word, and I took it right to national TV. It was a national event. My son got called a racial slur in hockey. Most people are like, yeah, this happens all the time, and oh, you just have to be relaxed. She's an overreacting mother. No, this is not reaction. This is the culture that caused that. That kid, we found out, goes to Metcalfe School, which has hardly any colored people, actually no colored people in it at all. How did he learn that word? He was 10 years old. Oh, rap. No, I don't let my kid listen to that kind of rap music. I don't sit around the table using that word. So how did that kid who called my kid the N-word find out that word? You understand? It doesn't just come from out there. It comes from in here. And when we can change what's in here, we can change what's out there. And the reason my story got called is because a lot of white people with white privilege helped me. Bill Carroll for CFRA took the story to the news, and his wife Sylvie. Pierre Poilievre put it on his site, and I started reading those comments by some of the people. And you want to read something crazy? Go ahead and read all those comments. You know, why is he telling us about this story, and why do we need to know about this? And Lisa McLeod put it up, and Scott Moffat didn't put it up, but Jill Moffat put it up on her story. And it was these white people who brought the story and put some light on it, and then people heard about it, right? Others are just going to be swept in the rug. Oh yeah, that's normally in hockey. I don't know what's wrong with this mother. Why is she overreacting? I wasn't overreacting. I don't want my kid to be called the N-word. You know, he was born in Canada. He's been raised in Canada. He won the hockey game fair and square. You want to be a sore loser? Then don't handshake him. But don't call him the N-word. And this is why, if I can react that much to my son, can you imagine what kind of reaction I would have if the government just took my son and just decided that he's not going to be growing up Muslim or Indian? And we're just going to teach him English, and we're going to make sure he only knows how to read English and all about whatever the faith and everything else. I did all this because my kid got called a racial slur. How upset do you think I would be? And I put myself in those parents' shoes who still haven't found their children. And this is why I'm going to lend my voice to this plight. And I think we all need to do something. Anything. Do something small. You know, when you're walking in a grocery store, smile at a black person. Seriously. That little thing would make such a big difference. Instead of looking at them like, oh, why are they here? They live here. They're in Manotick. They're part of our community. Smile at them. Say hello. It's not going to hurt anybody. It starts with us. Lisa and the Manotick United Church are friends of mine, and I love being a part of here. And I just love the sense of community. You know what? I feel safe with this church. I feel safe being colored. I feel safe being Muslim. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this moment just to air out some of the stuff I've been thinking about. Thank you.